All right. Welcome. Welcome, guys. It's finally here. Take It Home podcast, episode 5. Episode 5. I believe this one's been a tester. This one has been a tester. I've been trying to get this out. We had a live stream scheduled last Friday, which would have been the 17th. And a big storm comes through. It's summer. We're in the country in North Carolina. Big storm comes through, knocks out internet, knocks out power, like literally 2 minutes before I was about to go live. And I just had to scrap that. Hate it, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And it's taken me this long. I had a little birthday extravaganza on Tuesday. So just had to get through all that. But now we're here. I have the same questions. Have the same topics I want to chat about on this podcast. This is your first time catching it. My name is Patrick. I'm part of the Wrestling Open Forum crew. Me and Dutch, we have a few people behind the scenes, like Brad is the producer of this show. I always give him a shout out because he does a lot of the work and does a lot of the research. So thank you, Brad. But we have WrestlingOpenForum.com that you can go check out all of our shows, including Wrestling Open Forum Show, which is available on our Patreon, and High Spots Wrestling Network at highspotswrestlingnetwork.com. Also, we have the Kick Out with Dutch that airs every Monday. It's like a 15-20 minute. This past one was pretty cool. It's talking about his career as a wrestler and why he chose to wrestle. And I knew him very briefly during that time period, and it's a fun journey. It's a fun journey for like the Outlaw Wrestling crew. But and then we have this. This is the Kick Out. Not the Kick Out, I'm sorry. This is I'm putting Dutch over way too much right now. So this is the Take It Home podcast. And if you need some kind of justification why I feel like I have the need to give my opinions and thoughts on these things, I've been in wrestling for 16 plus years. I'm a producer with PWX. I do their live events and production. I produce for New Japan Pro Wrestling. I've worked with almost every company out there: Ring of Honor, Evolve, Impact, Lucha Underground. I've worked with all of them. And so I like to talk wrestling. So that's why we're here. And welcome. Like I said, if it's your first time, if it's not, you probably have heard this spiel before. You know who I am and you know what I do. So without further ado, let me take a big sip of water and we will jump into question number 1. Hit me with it, Brad. Evil's impact on New Japan Pro Wrestling is both heavyweight and intercontinental champion. In case you've lived under a rock, and especially since we've had a little delay in this episode getting out, Evil won the New Japan heavyweight and intercontinental championship from, I think it was I don't want to say the name of the show wrong, but it was after the New Japan Cup show, the finale of the New Japan Cup show the next night. I want to say it was Dominion, but I think I'm wrong. But Evil took out won New Japan Cup. We'll get to that. My thoughts on the New Japan Cup. But Evil won the New Japan Cup and then faced Naito on night 2 and beat him with the help of a few people and a big turn, a big switch in the switching the layout of New Japan, which is kind of weird. I like it. I'm not going to say I don't like it. I do not like that it's public knowledge that Gato is the booker of New Japan, and I feel like everybody outside of Naito that's had the title in the recent, outside of Naito and Okada, everybody else, Okada at one point, but everybody else has been associated with him. So I hate that it always has to be associated with the Bullet Club and Gato and all of them. But I like, congrats, Evil. I think he deserves it. I mean, we did their tour in the Northeast, the Boston, New York City, and Philadelphia tour, and you could tell that they were pushing him big because of the matches he was getting, the exposure he was getting, and just the way they had laid out the matches for him. So I guess he's the next big heel. I like the idea of him beating Naito. I hate it for Naito, but anybody that's followed Naito's career knows that his main goal in New Japan was to main event the Wrestle Kingdom show. And that all stems from when he faced, who did he face? It wasn't Okada. It was he was facing someone, and Okada was facing Omega, I believe, and Omega and Okada got the main event spot, and Naito was on the secondary spot. And I think I got all my facts right. My brain is mushy because it's late at night, but I want to get this out. So, but that stems from like 4 years ago, roughly 4 or 5 years ago, that happened, and he's always wanted to main event to prove that he was a main event caliber at Wrestle Kingdom. And he did that in night 2 of the Wrestle Kingdom this past year in 2020 when we were able to do shows and see shows in front of crowds. Also, shout out to New Japan for putting on, like, figuring out how to do the social distancing and run shows in front of crowds in big venues. I'm sure that they're taking a hit from an income perspective, but I do appreciate that they have taken that step, because that's what it's going to take. I truly believe it's going to take a step like in that direction for some big company, whether it be anywhere in the world. I truly believe anywhere in the world. I think New Japan is the one that's taken that step. I'm not talking about a WWE or Impact or AEW system of having non-contracted or contracted wrestlers being in the crowd. No. The last few New Japan shows have been in front of an actual live audience, paying audience, and it's fun to watch. I wasn't too, I knew and caught up by reading results from the New Japan Cup, because I hadn't watched a lot of it because I really haven't had time, and I know I'm failing at my job. But the one thing that I liked about it, the one match that I did watch that I really enjoyed, was Evil versus Sonata. And the reason I like that is because I think those are two future stars for that company. And I really believe that Sonata should get a push towards Evil's title. I know they're going with, I can't say it. It's Takahashi. I murder his name every time, because every time I hear it, I think it's close to Tanahashi. But I think it's, don't leave comments. I apologize. I have his cat upstairs for my little son. But Takahashi, I think that's his name. I think that's how you pronounce it. I know his name, but I pronounce it wrong all the time. But I know he's got they're kind of pushing him to be the next opponent for Evil in his title. But I really think Sonata taking the belt off of him I'm just a huge fan of Sonata. And I really want to see him do well, because he deserves it. He's looks like $1 million. He can wrestle. Like him and Okada's match, main event match, was insane, and I think he can hang. I think he's believable. I think he's got the look of a champion in that company. But I like I mentioned, with a little bit of help from a friend, have a little help from my friends. Evil caught on a little help from one and only Dick Togo. Dick Togo, I became aware of probably 6-7 years ago. I knew he was in New Japan before, but he's had an exodus for 2-3 years and made his comeback. Dick Togo is insanely good. I can't wait to watch him wrestle, if he's going to wrestle, or he might just play a manager part, but he's just super talented. I found him on he did a few American dates that I saw. Maybe PWG, maybe is where I saw him for the first time. But yeah, I love him. I love the introduction. It's like New Japan's weird, because sometimes they do. When I look back at the formation of the Bullet Club with Devitt, and then Kenny making the cleaner, some surprises they build to and do and execute very well. Some they don't. I think that Dick Togo coming out as Bushi and doing the whole spiel, making people think, I think was very underwhelming. I think you could have done something better. I think you could have, if I'm booking, and no offense, Gato, but if I'm booking, I would have somebody from the Bullet Club come out and try to interfere. make it look like they're trying to interfere with Evil, and then have Naito cut it off, and then the Dick Togo dressed as Bushi comes out, pulls him down, missed him, comes up with it, which he can't miss because of COVID, does something, then gets up. Naito's like, cool, you got it. Boom. Hits Naito, Evil, done. I think it would pop bigger for the American crowd. I don't know how the Japanese crowd. I don't know how the Japanese crowd takes that. I don't know, but that might be the way they do it. I'm just not up to date on my New Japan. I've watched a few big surprises, and like the Jericho announcement when he first went to New Japan to face Naito or Okada. Maybe it was Okada. I think that was done like insanely well. But it's just weird. I think it came off a little clunky, but it got the job done. Evil's the double champion. Evil's pushing the evil era of Japan, of New Japan, into the future. I hate, like I said, I hated it that Naito had like a short. It wasn't a short run in length, but it was a short run in matches, and I hate that. But I assume that they did this. They pulled the trigger on this quickly to try to garner up some business, some buzz. And once again, I think Naito got what he wanted out of it in the fact that he main evented the Tokyo Dome, Wrestle Kingdom, and he walked out as double champion, the first ever double champion in New Japan history. So, like I said, every time I've had any interaction with Evil has been amazing. He's been a super nice guy. And I'm super happy for him. Congratulations, Dick Togo, being back in New Japan. Hats off to New Japan for figuring out how to effectively do the social distancing thing and do it safely and allow people to get back to some sort of reality and enjoy professional wrestling in a live setting. I hope that someday soon we're able to find a way to do that. I know people are working on it, and I know it's a little bit worse here than it is in Japan. But when you see things like that on TV and know that it's live, it gives you hope for the future. So, So, congrats, Evil, New Japan. You know I got love for you, New Japan. So yeah, just keep doing your thing, keep killing it, and we'll get there. I think so. All right. Hit me with question number 2, Brad. Does AEW need to find the next quote-unquote Chris Jericho type star? All right. So, yes and no. I'll answer that, and I'll explain. I assume by Chris Jericho type star, in quotations, you mean like that name value that has the bigger than indie star name that can get you buzz. And I think like I've been critical of AEW. I will always be critical of AEW because I think there's so many people just like jumping on their balls. They need people to be critical of them. And it's not to shit on them because they're giving a lot of my friends opportunities. And some are getting signed, some are close to getting signed, some are just getting opportunities on Dark. Bless them, man. They're allowing people to get paychecks during this pandemic, and I think they're on the right track. I think they have a lot of correcting to do, but that's the beauty of starting a company, starting a business in any form or fashion. But yeah, they need to work on some things. As far as do they need the next Chris Jericho type star? I do believe they need. I don't think Jon Moxley gave them what they wanted. I think Jon Moxley still hit the niche crowd of wrestling fans in a sense of they were looking for the Jon Moxley from CZW, which in essence is what we got. But I just don't think. I know he had a good run in WWE, but he's not on the Chris Jericho level. I think the belt. I think he's done good with the belt, but every match is kind of the same. Every match is a hardcore match. Every match is crazy. There's never just a straight up wrestling match, which is one thing that brings like longevity and credibility to a title. I think if every match has a chair shot or going out of the ring and fighting, it takes a little bit away from a world championship, I should say. There's no knock at Jon Moxley. That's his style. He wasn't able to do it in WWE for so long, and now he has the platform to be himself, and that's the journey, or that's the form of art that he chooses to put out there, and he does it well. He's one of the best at it. So, no bashing towards him. I just don't think he gave them the initial like superstardom that Chris Jericho gave them. I mean, I love like Dax and Dash, but I think they fell flat because their booking has been terrible. I get it. I get what you're trying to do, but it's just, that's not the story to do it. You have like, I don't know. I don't want to get in a tangent about it, but I don't understand how you can take a group of two teams that legitimately hate each other. I've been told, like, legitimately don't like each other, and you have the makings of building a match in a pandemic that everyone wants to see, and you choose to go with making them friends, forcing them to be friends because they have a common enemy. Like, shut the fuck up. Come on. Like, just listen. Have them show up, beat the shit out of the Young Bucks. I mean, I've said it before. I'll say it again. What I would have done, show up, beat the hell out of the Young Bucks, say, we could end you right now, but we're going to make you wait. We're going to make you look over your shoulder every week. Every time you get to the airport, you got to look over your shoulder. Every time you step foot in the locker room, you got to look over your shoulder. Because you've always said that you were as good as us. You put the FTR out there. You said, like, to fuck us when we were in WWE. You tried to take money away from our families. So we're going to do the ultimate payback to you, is we're going to take money away from your families. Like, we're going to end you. We're going to show you you're not as good as you ever thought you were. You're nowhere near as skilled as you think you are in professional wrestling. And we're just going to destroy you. It's in the sense of an MMA fighter that has a rival that was in, like, say if the MMA, and I hate using like UFC and Bellator. Say you have an MMA fighter in UFC that's that's taking over the world, like, just super. I'm the best. This guy sucks. This guy sucks. This guy sucks. Then you have these people in Bellator, or this guy in Bellator who's coming up. He's like, listen, I respect his game. Cool, whatever. And then on their little internet show, or on his little internet show, this guy in UFC is like, you know what? Screw this guy. He sucks. He's no good. He's like a false prophet. He's a false idol. He's just fighting weak people. Blah 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 blah. Would the guy, whenever he got a chance to come to UFC to make millions of dollars, would he not just go in there and just say, listen, I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to show you that you're a fake. I'm going to show you that you're all talk. And you're the one that's actually taking these lighter fights to try to become a star, as opposed to actually trying to build your skill. I think that makes more of a story. I think they could have built to FTR versus Young Bucks during this pandemic, at Fight for the Fallen, at anything. Yes, okay, you want to do it in front of a crowd. I understand that, but you need to put out whatever is going to get you the most ratings, the most money off ad sales, the most of this, the most of that. Right now, especially when you don't have a crowd, because you can bring that back in front of a crowd, and it's going to be the first time it's ever been in front of a crowd. You're not going to lose that doing that any point in time. But sorry, I got off on a rant on that one. But yeah, I think AEW does. I'll answer yes first. Actually, I'm going to answer no first. No, they do not, because I think they continue to build stars. They just need to build stars right. I think if you continue to bring in these big star names, then you're going to get that TNA kind of, somebody's going to look at you out of the side of their eyes, or at the corner of their eyes. Like, are you trying to be like TNA now? Are you going to go get the Jericho or the Christians and the Angles and the this and that, and you're going to negate building your own stars, with the exception of one or two, like the Samoa Joes or the AJ Styles of TNA days? Like you need to continue to build your stars. And I know it's hard in a pandemic. I know they're not all able to fly in, and when they are, they can make an impact like Darby did. But yeah, I think that it could hurt the morale of the company because you have all these people. Granted, they are getting an opportunity to get paid during this pandemic when you can't have matches in front of crowds. But also they're trying to build their name and move up the roster. And I think the more that you bring in those big names and they take those spots at the top of the roster, it hurts the morale of the people that are there all day, every day, trying to build it. I think that's where WWE's failing now is they rely so much on these Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression Era stars, as in Brock Lesnar and MVP and Orton and Edge and all these people, that now you have a ridiculous talent pool that could carry your company, but you've dug such a deep hole in killing their characters and their credibility, building up these quote unquote legends or these Attitude Era stars that you can't, like you have the Fiend, who was probably the top star in probably merchandise sales, credibility, in like people wanting to see him, and you let Goldberg beat him so you can have a match for the Saudi Prince. Come on, man. Like that's, and now you're digging your way to try to figure out how to get them back to where you were. It's just they continue shooting themselves in the foot, and I hate it. But on the other side of that fence, going back to AEW, I think that they can benefit from another Chris Jericho type star. And I say that because I think that if they have one more that puts in the effort and time to help create stars like Jericho is doing, that it would only help the company. And I do have somebody who I think that would be, and it somewhat contradicts everything that I just said, but I think that Adam Cole leaving NXT and coming to AEW would be that other Chris Jericho level star. And I know people say like, yes, he's going to be a niche audience, but I feel like Adam Cole has done so much, like so recent, and is legitimately thought of, with the exception of like a Tommaso Ciampa or Johnny Gargano, outside of like the Ortons and the Edges and everybody that's, I mean, you can't bring anybody from the main roster over and expect them to have that big of a name, because everybody on the main roster that's not like a early 2000s superstar has been buried. And that's why I don't think they care who all Impact got, is because they buried all those guys, whether it be intentional or unintentional. But yeah, I think that Adam Cole coming to AEW would take eyes away from NXT, which is your direct competition, whether you want to say it or not. And it would give that NXT fan base a reason to come over to AEW and switch the channel. And yeah, let me see. Secondary question to all of this is, what do I think of Cody as TNT champion? I agree with him being the first TNT champion. He deserves it. He's put in the time and the effort to try to build this company. And I think it legitimizes, I don't know. It makes the TNT title legit. I think it gives it some credibility and makes it legit, him being the first champion. I do think it's time for somebody to come in and knock him off his stool, because I think that Cody chasing there's more money in Cody chasing than there is in Cody holding a title. I like the idea of him doing the open challenge. I like that's a beautiful story they have going, and it's building stars. Like we talked on the Wrestling Forum last weekend about Sonny Kiss. I think it solidified Sonny Kiss as a star in that company. I think it helped Ricky Starks with his debut. I think it's going to help I don't know if anybody watched it. The gentleman, if you haven't go back and watch Dynamite. Amazing wrestler that wrestled him on Dynamite tonight. Yeah, I think Cody's doing well. I just think it's time for someone to step in and knock him off his pedestal and hold that belt so we can see it on someone else's waist. So you can build. You don't build to. You just have a champion that defends. You build to some type of competition between. You build to some type of competition between your mid card, as well as making stars with belts. I like Cody as the first ever TNT champion. They've built Cody as a star since the start of AEW, even going back to like All In before AEW was even a thing. Cody was a star. Even though he wasn't in the main event, he was still like the main attraction. I think that he doesn't need the title necessarily to be the star. I think someone else can benefit from it, and that's the wrestling producer mind or booker mind. Is if someone else in the company can get that belt and it elevate them to a certain higher level of stardom to help the company, then that's what needs to happen, and that's for them to choose. And part B, sub question to this question, is AEW Dark a real opportunity? Yes and no. I say yes because it gets you in front of cameras, it gets you in front of a crowd. I'm not sure the numbers they do on AEW Dark on YouTube. My problem with AEW Dark is, with the exception of Scorpio Sky matches, Scorpio Sky matches are so good, and it's just a testament to him as a wrestler wanting to help these young guys get out there and get some reps and be seen by management, and I think he's almost like the gatekeeper to who deserves to be there and who doesn't. His match with Serpentico was amazing. I know a match that's coming up next week is going to be amazing. He's just like, his matches are so good. But a lot of the matches on Dark are like just so cookie cutter. Like start with a little shine on the AEW star. Let the nobody or the fill-in or the independent wrestler that's there that week get a few moves, then do something that makes them look stupid. Then the AEW star gets over, and then they pin them. That's every Dark match, except that has anything to do with independent wrestlers possibly getting an opportunity. So is it a real opportunity? I'm not sure. I think if that remains to be seen, if 3 or 4 of the people that have been a big part of the Dark during this pandemic get contracts, then yes, I will agree that it was a good opportunity, and that might be what they're doing. I know that there have been rumblings about AEW starting another show on TNT. If that's the case, then they will need more stars, unless they want to double up their travel for other people. If that's going to be a B show, it's a perfect time to give out like smaller contracts, but to build new stars. If you want to build this company and you don't want it to be like all the other ones, then you find these independent talents that deserve to be seen and you build them into stars. And then you're not paying them millions and millions of dollars to each contract, but you're still building a company and you're giving people TV time and you're building stars that you can use for the future. That's the way this business continues to cycle through. It continues to evolve, continues to grow. That's what I think needs to happen. There's such good stuff about Dark. There's such bad stuff, and that's for another podcast. But it remains to be seen. To that question, is AEW Dark a real opportunity? That remains to be seen. I think whenever the pandemic kind of calms down, we have crowds again. They're not having to bring in these people because some of their people can't travel. I call them the drive-ins. When they don't have to bring those in, and then if they offer some contracts to some of these guys that have like busted their ass, and we've seen people. There's one that I can't name. Then you have Alan Angels. I believe he was under contract. That's 5 now. We've seen, like, I know Suge hasn't got a contract, but if anybody deserves one, man, the Pineapple Pete stuff has been amazing and kept people like in, like, it shows you that there's a fan base that like these people and that you can pull, and that's what you need to do. And once again, I love all these guys to death, but you don't have to give them $400,000-$500,000 contracts. They'll be. I assume they'd be happy with a fraction of that to be able to wrestle for a living, and then let them build their star power, and then they'll make more money and more money. That's business. But yeah, it remains to be seen, and I'm anxious. I'm anxious to see if any opportunity comes out of it. All right, shoot question number 3 for me, Brad. Is NXT overshadowing WWE? Yes and yes. I think NXT has. It's just. I don't even think it. I mean, WWE is terrible right now, like absolutely terrible. And like I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I try to give businesses the benefit of the doubt, especially WWE. I try to give WWE the benefit of the doubt. But, dude, the quality of Raw and SmackDown is. I don't know if they're getting viewership. I mean, I know they're getting like over 1 million people view, like 1.6 or something like that viewership. But God, the networks cannot be happy with what they're getting as opposed to what they've gotten in the past. But I think NXT is more of an independent style company, so you can get away with more and not in front of an audience. And I know that they're doing the like superstar audience. I hate it, but I mean it gives some background noise to it. But I just feel like that the wrestling is more pure in NXT. And it's more like people get on to me all the time because I like the fighting spirit style. But I feel like that style is made for. It's like watching an action movie. WWE wrestling style is like the Raw and SmackDown wrestling styles is not like watching an action movie. It's like them going through the motions as if there was a crowd there. And to whereas NXT have kind of they've always been built on the competition aspect of the matches. And I think that has translated well to the pandemic era of professional wrestling. And you can still go there and see like two people, like even though it's a wrestling match, we all know that it is what it is. It's a match, but you see two people trying to be better than everybody else. I think it's if you are smart into the fact of what wrestling is. And especially people that work in the wrestling business, you appreciate watching others try to outdo the rest of the roster, trying to make a name for themselves. And I think NXT has always had that feel about it. And WWE does not. I think WWE, you can tell that everybody's walking around on eggshells. Like through the screen, you can tell. I've been in that atmosphere, and I've felt that before. But I think that's the biggest reason that I say yes to NXT overshadowing WWE is because the product is so much better. I mean, it's just, and like I've said it before on other podcasts, I feel like the WWE have hurt themselves in the long run. I mean, they've ultimately helped themselves in business, but hurt themselves in the long run for this setting because they've given you such a big production value, such a good, solid production value for so long. When they have to dumb it down, it's almost like they've done it so good for so long they can't dumb it down. And it turns into just some watered down product of its own creation when they try to do it, simplify it to just a building with a few pieces of crowd. Whereas NXT, even though they don't have the usual 500 or 600 people that are in their little studio, they do have more of a sense to wrestle in front of not as many people. And I think they've mastered the art of performing and like getting your attention through TV as opposed to wrestling in front of 10 or 15,000 people every week. But yeah, and I just think the talent in NXT is able to prosper when with their use their talents to their advantage and able to become their own characters, their own creations, as opposed to WWE in a sense of like people telling them what to do. And I mean, and I've been through that. We've been through that the last couple years in PWX. It's I definitely don't want to compare PWX to this, but yeah, it's a completely different experience when you allow people to just build upon what their foundation of what they think their character is going to be, as opposed to a producer telling them what they need to do. I think that's the biggest difference in the not the talent level, in the drive of the superstars. And it comes across on the screen. I think, I mean, you watch, I'm trying to think of some, you watch Keith Lee and Adam Cole. That match was insane and so good and so compelling and had you from the very start to the very end. And some even know, like people that read dirt sheets know, like saw the picture of the ending that was leaked and didn't know if they were going to reshoot it, didn't know if they were going to change it. Even knowing the outcome, they still had you just taken. I think I like it. I like Keith Lee as NXT champion. I am interested to see how they're going to push him as the champion, because he can legitimately be a force to be reckoned with. He can legitimately be a monster that can't be held down, that can't be beat. Because I mean, he's legitimately like the next phenom, not phenom because that's the Undertaker. The next superstar in a sense, like Brock Lesnar is. He's the bigger than life. His aura, his like the glow that comes off of him, the glow that comes off of his star when he walks out, or the way he presents himself. He's just bigger than life. I mean, the first time I met him, I thought that. I was like, dude, that guy acts like a freaking superstar. And super, like, nicest guy on the face of the earth. And it couldn't be more happy for anybody to get the opportunity he's gotten. But he's proven himself. He deserves it 100%. And I think that you needed somebody like that. Going back to what I said about AEW, you needed somebody like Keith Lee that could eventually take the title off of Adam Cole, because Adam Cole was so special from the second he stepped foot in NXT and super kicked McIntyre. Like he had that, he's got that like superstar aura about him, and I think it's a beautiful booking decision for Keith Lee to take that title off of him. But I don't know. Like I think the B question, sub question to this was, what can Raw SmackDown do to bring back some excitement? I don't know, man. I really don't. I'm stumped. I think I think they really got to go back to wrestling. I think they need to go back to pure wrestling, and they're trying to push too many. I mean, this sounds stupid because I'm a producer in wrestling, but you're trying to push too many stories. They're trying to carry their programming through story as opposed to wrestling. They'll have like one solid wrestling match, like the AJ Styles versus Matt Riddle match. They'll have one solid wrestling match, and the rest of it will just be almost unbearable to watch. And it's just like, guys, just rely. Like take like a month and build your program around wrestling. Continue to tell your stories, continue to have your backstage skits, continue to have your interview segments, but like just focus on wrestling. Like focus on stuff like Bayley and Kairi Sane. Focus on Asuka and Sasha's. Like tell their story, but let them have the matches that like they can have. And don't give them 8 minutes, don't give them 6 minutes. Give them 12 minutes, give them 15 minutes. Let a wrestling match go 3 segments and blow everybody's mind, because that's what happens when you let a wrestling match go more than one segment. It's like just start relying on what brought you to the dance, because the more you try to push this ridiculous, like you can have your broadcast quality, you can have that look, you can have that feel, you can have all lights, you can have the fog, but ultimately what people are going to watch, and it's proven, what people want to watch is like people, not because I know them, but just because I love them. People like Cedric Alexander, Mustafa Ali, and Ricochet. Put them out there with Andrade and Garza and whatever the other guy's name is, and let them just freaking go, man. Like that's what you have to do in this. That's the only way I think that you can get. I think like, I don't know, man, but I could be wrong. I could be looking at the wrong demographic on it. I could just be completely off base. But I feel like if you want that audience I feel like the audience that's watching is an audience that'll watch through anything. It's an audience that'll watch if you have like a sit down with Triple H for 2 hours talking. You're always going to get that audience. But I mean, now you have to look at how can I pull the other audience? How can I pull the audience that isn't going to tune in, that does have their DVR set every Monday or Friday night? Like, how can I pull these people in? I think like just pure wrestling is the way to do it. But and once again, I don't know that I might just be talking over myself, because their pure wrestling show might be NXT, and their goal is to just keep the advertisers and the networks happy with Raw and SmackDown, and to just get more eyes on NXT, because that's the brand that's bumping through all of this. I say that, but they're battling with AEW in the ratings war. I don't know. It's an interesting time. I think that coming out of all of this, I feel like that these bigger companies, as well as the smaller companies like a PWX or a Ring of Honor or a GCW or any smaller company that puts on decent shows that draw good houses, I feel like we all have to sit down and like reassess how we do business, reassess our methods, reassess how we can be successful post-pandemic. And that's not just to us. I think that's to WWE and AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling, for that matter. I think New Japan, out of all three of them, New Japan is doing the right things to take the necessary steps to get back to some type of normalcy. I don't know how feasible that is in America now, so it might just be a geographic location that's allowing them to do that. But yeah, I can't wait to get past it, and I can't wait to be able to do shows safely. Can't wait for WWE and AEW to be able to do shows safely and see the crowds back. I mean, you don't know. Me and my buddy had to talk about this the other day. Is the crowds? I thought he doesn't watch wrestling much anymore, but he watches like highlights, and he watched a highlight of like I can't remember what is, either a SmackDown or Raw. He's like, you've always said that the crowd makes the shows, and I truly believe that after watching that, and I truly believe it. I think that the crowds are what makes the shows, but when you're caught in a situation like WWE and AEW and NXT, you have to continue to provide programming for these big contracts that you've signed, and so you have to do what you have to do. It's just a matter of finding the right formula. It's the beauty of creativity. No one knows the perfect formula. If they did, they'd be way richer than all of us. But yeah, that's the beauty of it. You have to find the right formula, and when you find that formula, then you perfect it, or perfect it as well as you can, and try to make as good of entertainment as you can make. But yeah, so I appreciate you hanging in there. I apologize again for the late nature of this podcast. Yeah, it's I've been jumping through hoops, and I really, complete honesty, full transparency, didn't want to do it tonight because I'm super tired, but I knew I had to get it out. So if you support us through our Patreon at patreon.com/WOF show, if you don't, you go check it out. We have about, I want to say like 10 episodes of content that go out a month. I would say, let me see, that's 4, 6, 8, that's 8, 10, 11. 11. Yeah, so 11 or 12 episodes. So you have two weekly, the Wrestling Open Forum and the Kickout, are weekly episodes that go out. You also have the Uncut, WOF Uncut, that me and Dutch do, where I spill all my secrets that I have to hold on to for all these public shows. We do a Q&A. You get, not right now because the merch provider is kind of halted because of the COVID stuff. But when 1820 kicks back up, we have discounts on merch. I encourage everybody to go check it out. It's patreon.com/WOF show. You can also get there through our website at WrestlingOpenForum.com. And if you haven't dropped the $9.99 for the High Spots Wrestling Network, I'll tell you what's all on there. PWX is on there. Most importantly, the Wrestling Open Forum show is one of their like prized possessions on there. I don't know if that's true. That's just what I say. It's one of the only weekly contents that they have. Every new episode drops every Saturday. So we've done 11 episodes. Episode 12 is going to drop this Saturday. So join us for it. You just pay $9.99. You get access to everything they have. Everything they have. Thousands and thousands of wrestling matches, shoot interviews, like their own content, Kevin Steen shows, Matt Hardy stuff, this, that, blah, blah, blah. Just everything. Why would you not spend $9.99 on that? That might be better than Netflix. And I think Netflix is $11.99. It goes up. High Spots Wrestling Network never goes up. Neither does patreon.com/WOF show. So, all right, guys. Time for me to hit the sack. Thank you guys for joining me. Appreciate every single one of you. Follow Wrestling Open Forum on Twitter at Open Forum Show. I know it's weird, but that's what we got. And like us on Facebook, we do got a plethora of people, new faces and new names on our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Wrestling Open Forum. We release all of our free content out on there as well as our website and the Patreon. The Patreon just gives you access to all of the paywall stuff. So if you don't mind dropping $5, $10, or $15, go there, join up. Thank you for hitting with me. Thank you for hitting with me. Thank you for hitting all these topics with me. I'm so freaking tired. All right. Thanks, Brad, for shooting me all these questions. You're always a treasure. Hope you get feeling better. Everybody, love you. Stay safe with all this COVID stuff. We're getting there. Wear a mask. Just put on a fucking mask if you have to. And let's get this world back to normal so we can start doing wrestling shows again. Thank you, guys. Everybody have a good one.